The breaking point. Captain Maya Chen massaged her temples as she stared at the latest set of demands from the Galactic Alliance. The holographic document hovered before her, its text glowing a soft blue in the dim light of her quarters aboard the ESS Horizon. 3 weeks of negotiations had gone nowhere. Each day, the Alliance representatives pushed for more concessions, more resources, and increasingly restrictive control over human technology and expansion. "Computer, time until next session," Maya asked, her voice cutting through the silence. 1 hour and 17 minutes, Captain, the AI responded smoothly. Maya sighed and stood, walking to the viewport. Outside, the massive diplomatic station Concordia hung against the backdrop of swirling nebula clouds, beautiful, serene, and utterly contradictory to the atmosphere inside. 17 alien species made up the Galactic Alliance, a coalition that had governed this sector of space for millennia, before humans achieved faster-than-light travel just 70 years ago. Her comm unit chimed. "Captain, Admiral Okafor is requesting a secure channel," her XO reported. "Put him through to my quarters." The weathered face of Admiral Kofi Okafor appeared on her screen. Despite being millions of kilometers away on Earth, his presence filled the room. "Captain Chen, I've reviewed the latest demands," he said without preamble. "How's the temperature in the room?" "Cold, sir. The Morathan delegate actually suggested yesterday that we should limit our colonization efforts to a single star system, ours, until we've proven ourselves worthy over the next century." The Admiral's expression darkened. "And the others?" "The Vekari support the Morathan position. The Solrani remain neutral but won't speak against the majority." "The Threx?" Maya hesitated. "The Threx representative approached me privately. He suggested there might be more at play than simple negotiation tactics." "Elaborate." "He wouldn't speak directly, sir, but he implied that certain factions within the Alliance have been monitoring our technological development with growing concern. They fear our advancement rate." Admiral Okafor leaned back, his eyes calculating. "Do you think the Threx are trustworthy in this? They've been the most reasonable throughout the talks, and they're the youngest members of the Alliance besides us, joined only 3 centuries ago." The Admiral nodded. "I've just received intelligence that confirms your suspicions. Our deep space listening posts intercepted communications between the Morathan and Vekari fleets. They've been positioning warships near our outer colonies while these peace talks continue." Maya felt her blood run cold. "They're planning to enforce these demands regardless of our answer." "Precisely." The Admiral's face was grim. "The Security Council has convened an emergency session. Their preliminary decision is to withdraw from negotiations. Sir, with all due respect, walking away from the Alliance will have consequences, yes, but continuing this charade while they prepare to dictate terms from a position of military strength would be worse." Admiral Okafor leaned forward. "Maya, we've prepared for this possibility. Operation Silent Shield has been in development for 15 years. Maya's eyes widened slightly. She'd heard rumors of contingency plans, but nothing concrete. "What are your orders, sir?" "Tomorrow, when they present their final terms, you will reject them. Completely. Then you will withdraw the delegation and return to Earth space immediately. And after that?" "After that, we wait." A small, confident smile appeared on the Admiral's face. "And we let them worry about what we're not saying." The grand chamber of Concordia Station hummed with the soft sounds of translation devices. Massive viewports revealed the glittering stars beyond, a beautiful view that contrasted with the tense atmosphere inside. Maya sat at the curved table, her 5-person delegation looking small compared to the larger alien contingents. High Chancellor Vexar of the Morathan stood, his scaled skin shifting colors subtly as he spoke. "The terms before you represent the unanimous decision of the Alliance Council." The translator rendered his complex clicks and whistles into smooth English. "We believe these accommodations are more than generous, given humanity's junior status." Maya glanced down at her tablet, scanning the document one final time. The terms had grown even more restrictive overnight. Human expansion limited to current colonies plus 2 additional systems, pre-approved by the Alliance. Regular inspections of all military installations, technology sharing mandates requiring Earth to provide full schematics for their fusion drive advancements. A 50-year probationary period, during which Earth would have observer status only in Alliance matters. Protection fees amounting to 30% of all mining and production output. Captain Chen, the Vekari delegate's translator, rasped, "We await Earth's acceptance." Maya looked around the table slowly, meeting the eyes, optical sensors, or sensory clusters of each representative. The chamber fell silent under her steady gaze. "The delegation from Earth has carefully considered the Alliance's proposal," she began, her voice clear and carrying to every corner of the room. "We came to these talks hoping for mutual cooperation based on respect and equal standing." She stood, and her team followed suit, somewhat confused but trusting her lead. "We have received neither respect nor equality in these proceedings. Therefore, Earth respectfully declines your terms and withdraws from negotiations, effective immediately." The chamber erupted in a cacophony of sounds, clicks, whistles, electronic tones, and translated protests all blending together. The Morathan High Chancellor's scales flushed a deep crimson. "This is unprecedented," the translation boomed. "No species has ever rejected an Alliance consensus." Maya gathered her materials calmly. "Then perhaps it's time someone did. Earth wishes peace with all species of the Alliance, but we will not surrender our sovereignty to obtain it." As the human delegation filed toward the exit, the tall, insectoid Drex representative stepped into their path. Unlike the others, he spoke in halting but understandable English without a translator. "Captain Chen, reconsider. The consequences are already in motion, Representative Catal." Maya's voice dropped so only he could hear. "We know about the fleet movements. We know this was never a genuine negotiation." The Threx's compound eyes flickered with what Maya had learned to recognize as surprise. "If the Alliance truly desires peace," she continued, "they know how to contact us. On equal terms." With that, the human delegation exited the chamber, leaving stunned silence in their wake. Across 17 star systems, communication channels exploded with urgent messages. The Morathan War Council convened an emergency session. The Vekari began mobilizing their border fleets. The Solrani started evacuating their trading outposts near human space. On the observation deck of Concordia Station, several Alliance officials watched as the small human shuttle detached and returned to the ESS horizon. Within an hour, the human vessel powered up its engines and departed the neutral zone, heading back to Earth-controlled space. No threats, no warnings, no dramatic declarations of war. The humans simply left. Lieutenant Davin Rice sat at his console on the bridge of the ESS horizon, monitoring the communication chatter they were intercepting. "Captain, you might want to hear this," he called out. "The Alliance communication networks are going crazy. The Morathan are ordering full military mobilization." Captain Chen nodded calmly. "Expected. What about the others?" "Financial markets in 6 systems have suspended trading due to panic selling. The Solrani Unity is calling for an emergency Alliance assembly." And he paused, listening intently to his earpiece. "The Drex are maintaining radio silence completely." "Interesting." Maya settled into her command chair. "Set course for the Sol jump point, standard speed. No need to hurry." Commander Jackson, her XO, moved closer and lowered his voice. "Ma'am, the Morathan battle group at Proxima Centauri could intercept us before we reach the jump point if they move now." "They won't," Maya replied confidently. "They expected us to either cave to their demands or make some desperate play if we refused. They didn't expect us to simply walk away. Right now, they're trying to figure out what we know that they don't." "And what do we know, Captain?" Jackson asked. Maya allowed herself a small smile. that humanity has never been as defenseless as we've let them believe. Across human space, a carefully orchestrated plan began unfolding with quiet efficiency. On Earth, deep beneath the Olympus Mountains, Operation Silent Shield moved from standby to active status. Mining operations throughout human-controlled systems subtly increased their output. Automated factories switched production patterns without announcement. Civilian ships began returning to human space in an unhurried but steady flow. Most importantly, a network of installations that had never appeared on any report shared with the Alliance powered-up systems that had been waiting years for this moment. All without declaration, without threat, without panic. Humanity prepared in silence, letting the galaxy wonder what their quiet confidence might mean. The silent response. Dr. Ilara Voss watched the economic analysis stream across her screen in the Treasury Department's Crisis Center. As Earth's foremost xenoeconomist, she had predicted much of what was now unfolding. Alliance trade networks are in free fall, she reported to the Emergency Council displayed on her view screen. The Solrani exchange has lost 32% of its value in 3 days. The Morathan Production Index is down 17%. 6 minor species have declared economic emergencies. Defense Secretary Huang leaned forward. And our markets? Stable, Ilara replied. The containment measures we implemented are working. There's been some volatility, but nothing beyond normal parameters. President Omar Washington nodded thoughtfully. And the military movements. Admiral O'Keefe's image replaced the economic data. The Morathan have positioned battle groups at every major approach to human space. The Vekari fleet has moved to support them. However, neither has actually violated our borders yet. They're waiting for us to react, President Washington observed, to show fear or aggression. Yes, sir, and when we do neither, the Admiral allowed himself a small smile. They become increasingly uncertain, completed General Rivera. Psychological operations are proceeding perfectly. The longer we maintain calm operations without visible panic or military posturing, the more they question their assumptions about us. Dr. Voss cleared her throat. There's something else. I've been monitoring communication patterns across Alliance species. The unity they presented during negotiations is fracturing. The Threx have formally questioned the Morathan leadership. 3 minor species have called for new talks with humans on different terms. President Washington considered this. Phase 2, then. Nods around the virtual table. Proceed. On the frontier colony of New Horizon, life continued with practiced normalcy. Children attended schools, farmers tended fields, and the small business district hummed with activity. Only the most observant might notice the increased maintenance work on the weather control stations surrounding the main settlement. Governor Tariq Hassan supervised the final checks personally. What appeared to be routine maintenance crews were actually military engineers ensuring the disguised defense shield generators would function perfectly if needed. Final calibrations complete, Governor, Lieutenant Park reported, closing an access panel on what looked like a standard atmospheric regulator. Good. Keep everything looking routine. A Colonial Defense Force patrol ship passed low overhead. A normal sight, nothing that would alarm observers. What wasn't normal was the new equipment it carried, technology that had never been shared with the Alliance. Similar scenes played out across all 29 human colonies. No evacuations, no obvious fortifications, just calm, methodical preparation. They had been ready for this possibility for years. Hassan's communicator chimed. Governor, we have a situation. A Threx diplomatic vessel is requesting permission to enter orbit. They claim to be carrying Representative Katal on a private diplomatic mission. Hassan raised an eyebrow. This wasn't in the playbook. Verify their credentials and weapons status, then grant permission. Inform Earth immediately. 2 weeks had passed since humanity walked away from the Alliance negotiations. The silence from Earth was more unsettling to the galaxy than any threat could have been. Captain Nora Diallo floated in the observation blister of her stealth vessel, the ESS Phantom, watching as the massive Morathan battle fleet conducted exercises just beyond the Proxima Centauri system. 15 capital ships, dozens of cruisers, and at least 100 smaller vessels formed an impressive display of military might. "Record everything," she told her small crew, but maintain complete silence. The stealth technology that hid their ship from Morathan sensors was one of many advancements humans had kept secret from the Alliance. It wasn't their only hidden strength. Nora's communication officer approached quietly. "Captain, priority message from command. Phase 2 is active." Nora nodded. "Prepare the package." High Commander Vexar of the Morathan Imperial Fleet paced the command deck of his flagship. 2 weeks of intimidating maneuvers had produced no visible response from the humans, no desperate diplomatic overtures, no military posturing, not even increased chatter on their communication channels. "What are they doing?" he demanded of his intelligence officer. "Nothing discernible, High Commander. They appear to be waiting." "Impossible. No species simply waits after defying the Alliance." But that was exactly what humans were doing. They went about their business as if nothing had changed. Their diplomatic channels remained open but silent. Their trade ships requested normal docking privileges at non-Alliance stations. Human travelers behaved with typical politeness on neutral worlds. "High Commander." The sensor officer's voice carried an unusual note of alarm. "We're detecting an energy signature inside our security perimeter." "Source?" Vexar demanded. "Unknown. It just appeared." A small, sleek object materialized seemingly from nowhere, floating just 2,000 kilometers from the Morathan flagship, well within their defensive screen. Before they could react, it pulsed once and transmitted a simple message on all frequencies. The message contained only 2 elements: complete technical specifications for a defense system that could neutralize the most advanced Morathan weapons, and 3 words: "Earth stands ready." Then the object vanished as mysteriously as it had appeared. Vexar stared at the technical data scrolling across his screens. If accurate, it meant the humans possessed technology far beyond what they had ever revealed. Technology that rendered much of the Morathan military advantage obsolete. "Verify this data," he ordered, his scales shifting to an ashen gray. Now, at United Earth headquarters in Geneva, President Washington received the report of the Phantom's successful mission with satisfaction. "The Direct's representative has arrived at New Horizon," Admiral Okafor added. "Governor Hassan reports he came alone, without Alliance authorization." "Interesting," the President mused. "What does he want?" "To talk. Apparently, several species within the Alliance have been growing concerned about Morathan and Vec-Aerie dominance. Our withdrawal has accelerated internal fractures that have been developing for centuries." Secretary of State Kamala Rodriguez leaned forward. "This could be the opportunity we've been waiting for. Not just to secure our position, but to reshape the power dynamics of the entire sector." President Washington nodded thoughtfully. "Arrange secure transport for Representative Kittle to Earth. It's time we showed one of our potential allies exactly what humanity has been hiding." 3 days later, Direct's Representative Kittle stood in silent awe as the doors to Installation Olympus slid open deep beneath Earth's surface. Before him stretched a vast chamber housing technology, unlike anything in known space. "This is just one of 12 such facilities," Admiral Okafor explained as they walked. "We call it the Aegis Network." Kittle's translator struggled to keep up as he clicked and whistled in astonishment. "How long?" 15 years of development. From the moment we encountered the Alliance and recognized the power imbalance, we began preparing. Not for war, for independence." They stopped before a massive holographic display, showing the positions of both human and Alliance fleets. "The Morathan believe their fleet movements are intimidating us," President Washington said, joining them. "They don't realize we've been tracking every ship from the moment it left dock, including the ones they think are hidden." Kittle's compound eyes flickered rapidly. "The Alliance believes humans are technologically inferior. that your rapid expansion into space left no time for proper military development. A misconception we carefully cultivated, Rodriguez replied. We showed them our commercial technology, our civilian achievements. We kept our defense capabilities private. Why reveal this to me? Catal asked. President Washington stepped closer. Because we believe the alliance is at a crossroads. The Morethan and Vakari have dominated for too long. Smaller species like yours have been seeking greater independence. Am I wrong? Catal was silent for a long moment before responding. You are not wrong. There are 7 species within the alliance who have formed a caucus. We seek reform. Then perhaps it's time for a new arrangement, Washington suggested. Not humanity versus the alliance, but a new coalition of equals, including those alliance members who share our values. The Morethan would never accept this, Catal warned. Admiral Okafor smiled. They might, once they understand the full extent of what they're facing. We don't want war, Representative. We want respect. And we're prepared to demonstrate exactly why we've earned it. 1 month after humanity walked away from peace talks, the galaxy watched in astonishment as a new diplomatic conference convened, not on an alliance station, but on neutral ground. 7 alliance species, led by the Threx, met with the human delegation. Notably absent were the Morethan and Vakari. 3 days into these new talks, everything changed. Without warning, every major military installation across Alliance space detected the simultaneous activation of previously unknown devices within their security systems. For 6 minutes, their most sophisticated defense networks came under external control, not attacking, simply demonstrating vulnerability. When control returned, a simple message appeared on command screens throughout Alliance space. Earth seeks peace through strength, not dominance through fear. The choice is yours. Hours later, the Morethan and Vakari representatives arrived at the neutral conference, their previous arrogance noticeably diminished. As Captain Maya Chen watched the proceedings from her position behind President Washington, she reflected on the journey that had brought them here. Sometimes walking away from a bad deal wasn't an ending, it was a beginning. The galaxy had panicked when humans abandoned peace talks, not understanding that humanity's silence wasn't weakness, but strength. They hadn't been preparing for war. They had been preparing to change the rules entirely. As the new galactic concord took shape, a true partnership of equals rather than the dominance of the strong over the weak, Maya allowed herself a small smile. Sometimes the most powerful statement wasn't a threat or a demand. Sometimes it was simply the confidence to walk away and wait for the universe to realize what it had missed.